Good afternoon to everybody that has joined today's webinar here at Artistic Finishes. I'm Bill Treiber, the Technical Sales and Education Manager here at Artistic Finishes. I've been with Artistic since 2009. At the tail end, we're going to leave time for questions. I would hope that you will have one or two. We've got a fairly small group. I think we're around a dozen, so don't hesitate to put your question in there on the right-hand side in the comment or chat section. We do appreciate your presence and your time. We're going to try to keep this to about 15 to 20 minutes of information regarding our new Enduracor WPC profiles that we're just recently introducing really at TISE this year's Surfaces in Vegas, and continuing to educate the industry as to what we have available. The agenda today is going to cover the material itself, the profiles as far as the composition of what they're made, how they're made, and what they're made of, and the application as far as the different thicknesses of the floors that these would accommodate with. And we'll talk a little bit about terminologies in the industry regarding this niche of flooring. And then we're going to get into a few of the installation tips and our recommendations for the accessories needed for proper install. And then that will lead us to our new listing, how it's going to be shown on the website, and just a brief message regarding the new website. If you are a current customer, which I anticipate most of you are, judging from the list here, the Moldings Online is still our go-to, www.moldingsonline.com. And that will still be available after the first week of April. However, at that time, we will be introducing a brand new website, which will you will notice with our new logo and graphics on the lower right-hand corner down there for Artistic Finishes. Those colors, the grays, the pastel orange, and of course the white. Going forward, that will be what you will see. So no longer will you be seeing any more of the Moldings Online insignia, even though the access port will still be available for you. With that, we'll get started. We're thanking all of you again. We have just muted you, so if you have any questions, feel free to put them in there at any time, and we'll take them in the order in which they come in. But we'll try to hold off here till we briefly get through the information that is available here in the next 10 to 15 minutes. Starting with the material, your first slide that you have shows a 5-part product, which starts with the core made from, and I'm sure many of you have heard the term WPC. Now, for some of you, WPC may simply mean waterproof core, when in actuality, the technical term for it when it first came into the industry through U.S. Floors Core-Tech product was wood plastic composite. That has already changed, where the industry now has started to give terms like rigid vinyl core to multi-layer flooring, and certainly waterproof core is still being used. Whatever term you're using, you're always safe to call it WPC, and most anybody would be familiar with that. With our particular core on our Enduracor, we have added stone. The calcium carbonate gives us additional density, which brings it from your traditional WPC floors of about 7 to 750 density ratings, now getting well into the 900 range. The extra density will give us clearly a commercially graded density product. Since the origins of and development of the product, we have gone with the adhesive backer, which is also waterproof. The decorative layer that we currently are using is one of 5 different species. We have acacia, birch, hickory pecan, that's interchangeable pecan hickory depending on where you're located in the United States, and Canada. And then also maple, which will be interchanged with the use of birch, depending on the look of the floor. And last but certainly not least, our European oak. Our European oak veneer, we'll be using that for anything that's a red oak simulation, or really any of our domestic white oaks, as well as the Russian oaks, and then of course any European oak. And then last but not least is the top coat finish. We're using a highly water resistant finish that along with the makings of the product, we have since done durability testing on. And with regards to that, we've run this product through a series of steaming, baking, and freezing of the product. It's about a 9-hour cycle. With that being said, we have had no delamination or warpage of the product. So we're very proud to present to you the Enduracor line of profiles. So when we look at the different profiles that I've put up here, we want to point out that there is nobody else that's going to offer you 3 different stair nosings. And we've got 2 of them that can be used as flush stair nosings. Those are the top 2 on the left side. Our first one is the mini adjustable, which is good from anywhere from 2 all the way to 20 millimeter. And then our second one is our 288, which is originally designed to go with the sweet spot of your WPC floors. We consider the sweet spot to be anywhere between 7 and 9 millimeters. The bulk of the WPC floors coming out when they first came into the industry would be within that range. Now we're finding all the way down to really under 5 millimeter, all the way up to 12 millimeter floors. And you will find with our profiles that you really can span that with just about any of our profiles. So we'll get into that a little bit more in detail when I show you the profile guide. And then last but not least is the overlapping stair nose. That's our 283. I want to start to point out something about the bases of the profiles, along which you'll notice on the 283, the overlapping, the base portion is almost 3/4 of an inch, but notice the angle of that. It's on an angle, and the second base portion, which is a 1/2 inch, continues that angle. What these angles do for you and or your installer when selling the product to installing it, it gives you a wider range of capabilities with regards to the thickness, the millimeter thickness of those floors. Nobody else gives you that much flexibility. And then you will notice in the middle where we do have our track portion of the profile. All of our profiles give you the option of using a track or not using a track. Typically, you would only use a track if you're looking at one of the higher or thicker profiles needed. On the right-hand side, on top, is our reducer. Again, you can see the angled base on the bottom portion, well over a 1/2 inch in thickness. And also notice, I didn't mention it on the overlapping stair nose, but notice the size of the tongue, almost 3/4 of an inch. That gives you a lot of variance for an installation where you've got variance in the length of the boards and covering up a lot of the sins, so that you have a greater ability for placement of the profile. And then when you move on to the T-mold, you'll be hard-pressed to find anybody else in the industry that provides a 2-inch wide full width or girth on a T-mold with well over 3/4 of an inch of tongue movement space. The key to note here is that this particular T-mold, along with the other profiles that we're listing, notice they all have a little indent on the track that adds to the surface area for where you would use our recommended adhesive, which I will be talking about here in just a little bit. And then last but not least is our square nose. Our square nose, again, has that angled base, giving you the opportunity for versatility in the thickness of the floor, and it also goes over a 1/2 inch with the tongue. So let's take another look and get a little bit more into this by looking at our master guide. Each of the profiles that you're looking at, they're all going to be 96 inches, so they're all 8-foot goods. Our track is a little bit less in length, so you wouldn't have to cut it. It's 94.5 in length. It does have riveted inside edges, as well as the rivets that you don't see on the profiles with these landscape drawings. They're not true CAD drawings, but all of our bases on the tongue portion for the track will be able to give you a better fit based on the way that they're designed. So that's also a bonus in terms of install where you are using the track. Notice on the third column down below the profile column, the usable floor thicknesses. We've got a T-mold that'll go down to 4 all the way up to 12 millimeter. Our reducer and square nose, those are good from 6 to 12 millimeters. So they will cover just about anything in the WPC niche flooring. The biggest and widest variance use profile is our modern mini adjustable, the 059. That'll go from as little as 2 millimeter all the way to 20 millimeter, which would take you over 3/4 of an inch. I mentioned the 288, second one from the right, is going to be our least versatile profile. However, you could get additional thickness use out of that by using a shim under it. But you'd be hard pressed to go under 7 millimeter, since the major portion of that is 7 millimeters in thickness as you extend out. Now we do have that design so that you could also use it as an overlap. It does have, if you notice, there is a little bit of a tongue portion up there where the cursor is now. We also gave that a 1 millimeter radius edge on the top corner so that it will butt very nicely up next to a floor. And on the bottom, much like with the 059, it does have the raveted surface to give you additional surface area for additional adhesion for when you're doing your install. And then last but not least, we have our 283. That's the overlapping stair nose. You'll notice that that profile, unlike the 288, is not a full radius. It's more of a half moon on the bullnosing portion, but it is a radius edge. It's not like our mini stair nose, which has an 8 millimeter radius and then a straight edge. This is a full radius program, similar to the 283, the flush stair nose, but gives you a wide variety of looks and application from an install standpoint. We are anticipating before year's end to add additional profiles in the smaller range end, and then also eventually in the top end. And we're also looking at quarter round and wall base to be added here in the near future as well. With that, we want to look at the access online. So we're going to talk a little bit about logging in, where you typically were to go in now for a product like, say, Cortec, which has already been downloaded into all of your existing accounts. And you would go in typically through the manufacturer selection method, and once clicking on that, you'd go in and you'd get Cortec. We've pulled up Cortec's Antique Marble in this instance. You'll notice also that it gives you the thickness of the floor, very common now with the Cortec Plus, where they've added a little bit of a foam backer for sound deadening abilities. They've taken their original Cortec 1, which was a 6.35 millimeter, upping it now to an 8 millimeter. This appears to be the biggest sweet spot in the WPC field, that 7 to 9 millimeter range. All of these profiles work wonderfully with that. But notice below that, where in the past you would just have the solid wood accessories, now to the right of that, you also have the new Enduracor wood profiles. Once you click on that, it will give you some opportunity for additional sales, but notice it does show you the floor ID. Those floor ID numbers, those first 5 numbers, those are going to be the first 5 numbers of every part number that you have in the Enduracor part number entry. So if you want to save these, just like before, down in the favorites, you can certainly do that by clicking on yes. But you'll notice over to the left of that, where the part number is, those 5 numbers, and as we page down a little bit, as you do that, you'll notice that the first 5 are the floor ID, the next 2 are the length of the product, and then the last 2 will give you the profile number. Now in this case, that 284, which was not listed on your profiles, that is a prototype to the 290. Is that the square nose? No, it's a reducer. Yeah, the 290 that we have since formulated a second edition already, which is a little bit better. So with that, we're going to take a look at the, and then of course you would proceed to go ahead and order from there or save it as a quote. Let's talk a little bit now about installation and techniques. Because this is a waterproof product, we don't want to bust through the skin, the surface of the decorative finish or our highly water resistant finish. So we are recommending no nailing, no stapling, no drilling of any kind through this product for installation purposes. However, we've done an extensive research, and our top adhesive that we recommend is a German product named Wacol, spelled W-A-K-O-L, but pronounced Wacol. And the MS stands for modified silane. A modified silane is a modern compound of organic compound with no VOCs, no smell. This has over 4 lead points on the scale, and much like our Enduracor products, profiles, which come from post-industrial wood waste and recycled plastics, this is a very green product that gives you phenomenal high green grab upon contact with no requirement for any flash time. Within 3 to 5 minutes, the product has bonded. Even when you're using like the 059, our side-mounted adjustable mini stair nose. I can do an entire set of steps within 2 hours with the use of a little bit of painter's tape to hold those. The next morning you would come in and just peel that back and you're good to walk on now. The water resistant aspect with the compounds being used for this product creates an antimicrobial product, so you don't have to worry about any mold growth. Where you're dealing with a waterproof product like the WPC flooring niche today, you want to have an adhesive that complements that. Certainly this adhesive will do that, and it will also complement our profiles. It's flexible, and that's what really separates it from the PL 400s, 200s, 600s, and or like the liquid nails, the products that you would buy at your local big box, because this gives you that flexibility even though you're still getting that high green grab. Also, this product, we found no product that would bond to both pre-sealed and or finished concrete versus raw concrete. When you get into commercial jobs, a lot of times you have concrete which is raw or green or uncured, where you're dealing with steps. They may not even do the sealing. This Wacol MS245, the Montinator, will adhere to that. And certainly it will adhere to any WPC backer, as well as drywall, polystyrene insulation, any of the wood composites, solid woods, your MDFs, HDFs, and engineered wood. So we're very, very proud to have this on our website ready for you to order right along with any of the profiles. Now, as far as gluing and using that product, we show you specifically where it should go. On your stair nosings, you want to have a bead wherever there is a track, or where you would typically have the track but have chosen not to use it. And then also in the 90-degree back inside angle on the back side of the bull nosing, you're going to want to lay a bead in there. We're recommending the use of a 1/4 inch bead, which you cut when you create on a 45-degree angle off the nozzle of the caulk, the MS245 adhesive. And you can see that we use a double bead also on the 288 which is our flush stair nose. There we're using a squiggly line over the perforated portion. Again, we're using and recommending a bead of adhesive back in that 90-degree angle on the inside of the bull nose. The old 59, just one squiggly line over the perforated section of the adhesive. Again, a 1/4 inch here. The T-mold, the square nose, and the reducer, all showing you a bead of caulk, a 1/4 inch on the track portion. An option, you could use one there at the base, both as I show it on the square nose, and you could possibly want one on the reducer there where the cursor is right now. One last thing to note, installers that are using this love this product. If they throw it in the back of their van or they're taking a case with them and it goes through a series of freeze-thaw cycles, it will not break down. We have done multiple freeze-thaw cycles without any degradation of the product. Also, if you only use a portion of a tube, you're going to be able to reuse the rest without any loss of product. Just simply take off the end where it has skinned off and you'll be able to start using it. It does not harden inside. Okay? All right. Well, that's pretty much this main information portion of the webinar. I want to turn it back over to any questions at this time, and certainly want to recommend that you leave us your email address so that we can have your sales rep get back out to you and possibly send you any tools like marketing or sales tools, chain sets we have readily available, and also storyboards. Look for this product to be added to a number of different lines. If you have any existing lines right now that you don't find the product, recognize that we are downloading these daily and adding them, just like all the other manufacturers, to the list of available manufacturers. Okay? Any questions at this time? Then I encourage you to go ahead and put your email addresses in there so that we can get your sales reps in contact with you. I do appreciate you joining us today. I want to mention that these profiles are considerably less expensive than ones that you're buying from us currently, which are solid wood. So you will notice a cost savings if you do start to use them. And it varies anywhere from 20 to 40% savings off of, for example, our existing LVT, LVP wood profiles, where you do have a wire brushed and or oil-based finish. Do we have a question there? Mark, if cutting down, what is recommended for the unsealed edge to keep from flaking off? Very good question. If you're doing like an angled cut, you have to do a continuous run, a longer run is what I'm assuming you're looking at there. The adhesive itself will work. And don't be concerned, Mark, with anything spilling out. The best way to deal with that is to get that edge so that you've got it nice and tight so visually it looks good. Any excess adhesive would be great to wait till it cures and pull back or remove the next day or later, an hour or two later, depending on when it is most convenient. So use the adhesive right along with the install, and you're going to have it readily available. Okay? I thank you all. Don't hesitate to contact our customer service. I want you all to be aware that when you go into our site, the first week of April, if you have any questions due to the new layout, please don't hesitate to contact us.